Welcome to Top 5, a show where we count things down from number 5 all the way to number 1. And I got to tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the closing month or so of summer 2024. I hope you were, suns out, guns out, or buns out, or whichever way that you wanted to do it. But we hope your 2024 summer was a blast. This week on the show, it's our top 5 things we did or will do this summer. And I'm curious as to what everybody has. Why don't we start with Rodrigo this time? Rodrigo, what is a thing that you did this summer?
Thing that I did this summer. So, there have been a lot of issues with Wizards of the Coast. And
Do tell.
Yeah, just seriously, pick 3, right? But they have this there's this Magic the Gathering set that just came out called Bloomburrow, and I was very interested in it. And my wife, who is a very nice person, was like, "Hey, how about we go to a pre-release? Because you've been looking forward to this. We haven't done a lot, so I'll take you to a pre-release." And I'm like, "Great." So we looked for a midnight pre-release, which was a thing that used to happen all the time, but we couldn't find any. So I guess either it doesn't happen anymore, or it doesn't happen anymore in Seattle, and Seattle is weird about doing things at night. But so the only midnight pre-release that we could find was off in this little town, very north of Seattle. So we drive all the way out there, and when we get there, there's not enough people for the pre-release. So this is why it's my number 5, is because I kind of didn't actually have a midnight pre-release for Bloomburrow. So we went there, we bought our little boxes that have all the cards and stuff, and then we went to Denny's, and we had dinner, and then we went home. But the next day we were able to actually basically crack open the boxes, make some decks, and play each other. So it was like a little mini pre-release. So it kind of still happened, but it makes a better story than actually probably actually having gone to the pre-release. Because we had some slight misadventures on the way as well.
Nice. Isn't Wizards of the Coast in Seattle?
Yes.
Wouldn't you think that they would do something?
Well, I mean, they are doing pre-releases. What I'm saying is they're not doing midnight pre-releases. I think a midnight pre-release used to be this thing, where it was like literally people were very excited about Magic. They were like, "Oh, give me the Magic," right? And so game stores have an embargo, right? They can't sell you anything, or they can't do an event until literally that day. So on midnight, on the day of the pre-release, they would be like, "Okay, we'll start at midnight," since people are so excited about it. I think that has changed. I think it's kind of like Black Friday. Like people are just like, I'll just go to the store. Yeah, I'll just go to the store later. And now people just have pre-releases on the weekend at regular hours. So we haven't gone to a pre-release since, I want to say Amonkhet, which was like 1,000 years ago. So we didn't know that people don't do this anymore, right? We assume that things haven't changed, but they have.
Yeah, my friend Dave, when I lived in California, I forget which version of Warcraft it was. Maybe it was Warcraft 3, I forget. But Blizzard is located in Orange County, or it was at the time. I don't know if they still are. He actually went to their headquarters on the day of the release and was like, "Hey, I want to buy the game." And they're like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I want to buy the game from you guys, directly from you guys." And they're like, and there was a bunch of dancing around like they didn't know what to do. They finally sold him a copy of the video game. And then they're like, "Don't ever come here again to do this. Go to a retailer." So I can imagine that if you should have showed up to Wizards of the Coast at midnight banging on the door, "I want my midnight release." And they probably would have hemmed and hawed and said, "Okay, kid, here you go, but don't ever come back."
I know that Wizards of the Coast does have a store at their
Oh,
headquarters,
do they?
so
Okay.
maybe it's there for that reason. It's like, okay, in case anybody shows up, let's have like 10 of everything back there, and we can get them out of the building as quickly as possible.
Yeah. That's cool. That's a little bit opposite than my number five. My number five of the things that I did this summer was being very incredibly lazy, and that's not a good thing. I didn't say this thing had to be a list of happy, fun things that we did, but man, there was so much going on this summer that I completely fell off my exercise routine. The youngest is just like totally just hanging out, doing nothing, playing video games, and watching like he's watching YouTube game streams and Netflix at the same time as he's playing video games. But he's been basically in his room all summer. So unfortunately, this summer, my number five is just being lazy. Just too many things collided to prevent certain things from happening. I'll get to that in my number four. But yeah, that's my number five, and it's not great. It's not good, but we've got a month. Maybe I'll flip that around. We'll see what happens. But Matthew, what is your number five thing that you did this summer?
My number five thing is actually an in progress thing for this summer. But it actually comes out of either 2 or 3 summers ago when I went to the doctor and the doctor weighed me, and my weight had a number at the beginning that I'm not happy with. Now, I'm not saying that this is my number five because that number was a five. I'm not saying that, but it is in fact true. And so I went on a weight management program, and I lost over the course of about 6 months, I lost 75 pounds.
Hey, that's
And
good.
then I just sort of, I just sort of plateaued and
Yeah, that
plateaued
happens. Yeah.
and plateaued. And then I started going back up and back up and back up. And over the last 3 weeks or so, I have come to a realization that my goal weight, my lowest weight I have been since we started weight management, is now really only 10 pounds away.
Hey,
So
that's
I
great.
can lose those 10 pounds. I'm going to get down to that next goal weight this summer, absolutely. And I'm going to see if I can get back down to my fighting weight, my college weight of 350 pounds. But I actually, over the last 2 weeks, lost 20 pounds again. And it's one of those things where I realize, to a normal person, I lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Probably sounds weird. It sounds, drastic or
Yeah, that
crazy.
seems huge.
But it's really not. At the level where I operate, I will gain and lose 5 pounds in the space of a day or two, just depending on what it is, because so much of my body is water weight. But I'm just like, okay, we're now at the point where the water weight stuff that went away. That was at 20 pounds, and now I'm actually going to have to focus. But this summer, I'm going to get down to my next goal weight. Right now, it has a 4 in it, and I'm going to get it down to a 3 by the end of August, or I don't know, I'll sever a toe with a shovel. I won't do anything like that. But it's definitely, I'm going to be focusing on that because that is something that I really need to get done because, you can't be 150 years old like I plan to be.
Yeah, that ain't gonna
if you're
happen
not
either,
if you're not healthy.
yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
I could live forever. So far.
Unfortunately, our generation, we will probably top out at maybe 90 will be the life expectancy average. It'll be our kids and our kids' kids that will have those life expectancies that go up to 110 and 120.
Keep in mind,
but right now the medical stuff is just not there right now, especially for people that are already in our advanced decrepit ages.
I was raised by a Magnavox television, which means that I am in fact radiation sealed. And until the age of 5, my entire diet was chicken and those little sticks that you dip into the sugar, and you have the different kinds of sugar. That was so 60% of my body is actually microplastic at this point. So I feel like I'm doing good.
All right. Let's move on to our number 4. Rodrigo, what do you have for number 4?
My number 4, talking about things that aren't necessarily good, but that did happen. I survived a fire.
Oh
my God.
And it happened at work, so I successfully didn't die in a fire, and also got my client out of the building, which is like the main thing that you're supposed to do. Yeah, my client's apartment building, we now know that somebody like left a lit cigarette somewhere,
mm-hmm.
and it caught on fire, and basically the apartment directly above his and across the hall from that person. So the one directly above him and the one sort of like catty corner going up to his apartment caught fire and had to like the firefighters showed up, EMS showed up, everybody showed up, and they like like they had to chainsaw the roof. They had to like apparently fire departments bring chainsaws.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to like cut open the roof, and yeah, the moment they do it is like all these like huge gouts of flame. Like it was like on fire, right? It's like usually in the past when I've had something like this happen, it's because something happened that created a lot of smoke, right? Like I've had situations where you have like a brief grease fire in the kitchen or something like that, right? Creates a lot of smoke. Smoke detectors go off. You need to get the clients out for protocol once, but even then, like the fire has already been taken care of, right? It's like this was like an actual fire. What was great is that we got out, and then when we were out, neither my client nor I had our cell phones, so we left our cell phones in his apartment. So I was like, okay, well, I hope it doesn't. Obviously, for lots of reasons, I hope it doesn't make it to his apartment. But I'm like, it's gonna be a problem when neither one of us can call anybody to let them know that something happened, right? But it didn't make it to his apartment. The apartments above his had like there was like a truck just yesterday, I want to say, with like a giant, like comically giant hose plugged into one of the apartments, like trying to, I'm guessing, suck all the water out from like the carpeting and the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Because the firefighters went in there and just
opened up the hoses.
Yeah, opened up the hoses and put it out that way.
So no water damage in your client's apartment.
From what we can tell, no fire damage, no smoke damage, no water damage. It helps that he was on a lower floor, and fire tends to go up, right?
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah. So water, though, unfortunately goes down.
No, you're right. And so water damage was a thing we were concerned about. But basically, every apartment in his little pod, except for his, right now has a sticker on the door that says that it was inspected by the fire department and whether it's like safe to be in there or not. And like 2 of them are unsafe and 1 of them is safe. So it's it was definitely a thing. It didn't. It's like it got close to his apartment. Like his apartment wasn't actually on fire, so people would be like, "Well, that doesn't really count." But no, it was pretty scary.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah,
I get that a lot. So yeah, that's good. That's good. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, only you can prevent apartment fires.
Yeah,
but not smoking in bed.
Apartment.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah.
I had one of my students. His dad owns apartments down in Dodge City, and same thing happened. Somebody's cigarette caught fire and burned most of the 6 units or whatever that are in that one building. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
yeah. All right, my number 4 is not as bad as almost dying in a fire. Mine is something that I actually started in 2019, late 2019, early 2020. Where I was like, you know what? As a kid, I loved looking at the stars and the planets and all the cool things. And I'm going to get into some astrophotography. I'm going to take pictures of the stars. And of course, 2020 came and it was kind of a mess. Hard getting equipment because everybody, when we went into lockdown, was like, hey, we will also get into astronomy and astrophotography. And so there's no gear to buy, or else it was jacked up incredibly high. But, I've got a good setup now, or a decent setup. It's not great. I would like to get a new telescope. But generally, there's a couple of times during the year that I don't get to do astrophotography. One of them is in the late spring because I don't have a telescope that is designed for galaxy season, when our Earth is in the position where it's looking more outward than inward. I don't have a scope that can really capture a lot of the faint galaxies that are far, far away. The other time that I really don't get to do a lot of photography is during the summertime. Because can you guess what are the two things that you should avoid if you want to do astrophotography?
Heat and humidity.
No, those can be dealt with. My camera is cooled, so it can go 30 degrees below whatever the current ambient temperature is. So it's fine. And I've got a dew heater that keeps the glass warm enough to prevent dew from condensating on the surface. The first one that is obviously really bad if you're trying to do astrophotography, which takes place at night, is light. Mm-hmm. And so the few times that I've been able to say, hey, tonight would be a good night to go do astrophotography, guess what? Full moon. Depending on where I'm shooting, that is, if I'm pointed away from the full moon, not a big deal. But a lot of the things that I like to shoot this time of year are right around the same place where the full moon is. Boo. The other thing that's really bad for astrophotography are clouds, because you can't see through the clouds. And for whatever reason, daytime so far this summer have been relatively clear, but at night, when the temperature cools down, lots of clouds all summer. And so I have not had a chance to take my astrophotography gear out at all since probably January, February of this year because of clouds and bad shooting conditions. And of course, not having a scope that's really designed for the galaxies. I mean, I can shoot them, but they're really too small to really do anything once I process them. But now that we have passed the June gloom, and now that we are through July, we are now into the heat of the summer. And there's one thing that moisture hates, and that's heat. So today and yesterday, 106, 107 degrees. Tomorrow will probably be 109 degrees. But tomorrow will also be clear skies. And there's a few targets that I might want to get my hands on. So before the end of the summer, I will have the astronomy gear outside, the astrophotography gear, not astronomy gear, the astrophotography gear outside, and I'll finally be able to take some new pictures. So that is my number 4 thing of what I'm going to do this summer.
Nice.
Matthew, What do you have for your number 4?
I feel like I'm not nearly as cool as you guys because Rodrigo, faced a mortal situation, and Stephen is contemplating the universe. My number 4 is important to me and about 6 people because I am on a quest to find a complete, and that's in air quotes, list of every character to identify themselves as a Titan. And so the difficulty there, of course, is that there's that, Teen Titans cartoon and Teen Titans Go and 45 years worth of comics and that terrible live action show. And then you've got what alternate universes count, what alternate universes don't count. The Team Titans probably count, but the Teen Tyrants, since the name doesn't have Titan in it, doesn't count. You do have to really get down to the point where, and this project is really only for me. All it does is entertain me. But it's also something that, I didn't expect there to be so few Guardians of the Galaxy. So if you've been watching my Twitter, and why wouldn't you, by the way, follow all of us on Twitter, I think. We're the Major Spoilers Experience, you guys. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're following my Twitter, I'm going to run out of Guardians of the Galaxy probably right around Thanksgiving. So by the end of the summer, I'm going to have a complete list. Right now, I'm pretty sure it has 12 Robins. So I may just do Robins for like a month. Just a month of Robins, just Robin. It's like when the alien ship comes down and they just start unloading crates of Bigfoots. It's going to be crates and crates of Robins.
You might want to make a certain day of the week the Robin Day.
Ooh, what would be a good Robin Day?
Probably a Monday. Everybody hates Mondays. Monday. And there's a lot of Robins which are really just unlikable.
Yeah. Oh, don't talk about Damian like that.
I'm sorry. He's like the Garfield of Robins.
The thing about Damian that I don't know if you guys ever played GURPS. Damian is Mega Damage Robin. It's everything that you liked about any previous Robin, but it's turned up to 11 to where you just don't like it anymore. And so that's your whole thing. But I also did discover something really ridiculously fascinating. That there are a bunch of guys who appeared like once in 1968 and then never again. And the cartoon, the Teen Titans cartoon, not Teen Titans Go, which is, in my mind, since those universes have met, they must be separate multiversal continuities.
Sure.
But the Teen Titans 2003, the Earth 2003 Teen Titans, has like 45 members.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, they blew up. Like, and are you counting the Young Justice team?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Same thing.
No, those are not counting Young Justice, and here's why. Yeah. Their name is The Team.
Right.
If they get a name, I will be happy to include them. If they become Justice Society, Young Justice, Justice League, Teen Titans, whatever they will. But until they have a name, Greg, and I know you're out there, Greg, until they have a name, they don't exist to me. They're dead to me. Like the can opener is dead to Fred Flintstone.
Wow, you're missing out on some good stories then. All right. That is our number 4. I want to take a moment really quick.
I just don't do the thing.
I want to take a quick moment and point everybody to our Patreon page, patreon.com/major spoilers. That's where you want to go to support this show and all the shows that we do and all the extra stuff that you get when you sign up as a patron at patreon.com/major spoilers. You can get instant access to over 1,000 hours of bonus and exclusive material that you're not going to get anywhere else when you sign up at as little as $5 a month. $5 a month, that's like $2.50 a show. That's still less than a can of Coke that you get at the gas station. And aren't we worth at least one can of Coke a month? Do yourself a favor, do us a favor, and become a patron today at patreon.com/major spoilers.
They still cans?
Oh yeah, they do.
Oh yeah.
They have some.
They sell these like really thin, long cans.
Long thin ones.
Those are the sexy.
Yeah, those are the good ones. Terrible. They also sell like they're not quite 40 ounces, but they're like 32-ounce cans that are they are tall, but they're still thick. Like they're still girthy, like the regular cans of Coke. So you can go get your hands on a couple of those very easily at the gas station. Yeah, tall boys. Yeah, that's exactly what they are. Or you can become a patron at patreon.com/major spoilers. All right, Rodrigo, what are you at with your number 3?
All right, so my number 3 was another somewhat traumatic experience.
Oh, God, your summer's just been horrible, dude.
I know it's been a tough summer. It does get better from here on out. After this one, this is where the arc like peaks of,
it turns in the third act right here with
this is the third act. After this, it's all denouement. I cracked a tooth, and I went to the dentist for a regular checkup, and they're like, "Is there anything that's like bothering you or anything like that?" You know, when they're getting ready, and I'm like, "Yeah, this tooth back here, it feels like there's something off, like there's like some play or something." And they looked at it and they're like, "This tooth is cracked," and I was like, "Oh, it doesn't hurt or anything," and it's a tooth that I had a root canal on, so like it just felt weird when I closed my mouth, like it felt like it had like a tab to it that was just like clicking when I like closed my mouth. And they're like, "Nope, it has to go. Let me get this filling out." And they pull it out and there's a chunk of tooth attached to it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it has to come out." So I had a tooth pulled. It was a traumatic experience, like sort of emotionally, because this is the first tooth I've ever had pulled. But in the end, it was okay because I've had dental issues that mainly come from the fact that I shut down whenever a bureaucracy is involved and have to like go into like reserves of strength. And so anytime I move to a new place, I tend to not go to the dentist or the doctor because that's a thing that I have to do. So I went a long time without going to the dentist. When I finally went to the dentist again, obviously there were all these problems. But talking to the dentist, talking to other people, it's like this, I mean, obviously you can probably track it back to maybe not going to the dentist as often, but it's like, yeah, a cracked tooth happens. Like it's something that happens. The dentist wasn't like, it's because you haven't been brushing. Like, in fact, the dentist was happy with my the state of my teeth and gums. And yeah, it's just like I had a tooth with an old crown and I bit something and it cracked the tooth because everything in there was old. The tooth is old, the crown was old, and then I had it pulled, and now I have a hole there. And it's been an interesting experience to just have a hole.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, the dentist is like, well, we can do a bridge, or you can go to a specialist to have an implant. And I'm like, okay, what should I do between now and then? And he was like, just keep it clean. Like there's literally nothing's gonna happen right now if you don't do it right away. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm poor, so probably if I do anything, I'm gonna do it next year when my dental insurance like refills in January. So I guess I'm gonna go like 6 months with a hole in my mouth, and so far, it's been okay. It's weird. It's a weird experience, but I'm sure in a few months I'll just be totally used to it.
Yeah. I had a slight chip on my front bottom tooth in the back. Mm-hmm. So, where your tongue's always rubbing kind of thing. And I kind of got used to it. And then earlier this summer, bit down on something. And now there's a big giant chip on the back of my tooth, which is like excruciating. So I feel your pain, literally, Rodrigo.
Yeah. I have, in the last 2 years, lost 3 molars due to, and it's
the Magnavox television and the Pixie sticks from your childhood.
Oh, shush. Well, and this is the thing, though. Teeth are not made of plastic. Teeth fall out. You get new ones made of plastic. But now the thing that I find most distressing about it is I can hear it when I speak. And that, I think,
sure,
you can hear the difference in your tone. You can hear the difference in your pronunciation. And I don't know if you guys have noticed over the last 6 months or so. Stephen absolutely has. But the sizzle that I have because of my overbite is so much more pronounced. And I can't manage it the way I used to, because I used to manage it by pressing my tongue against a tooth that isn't there anymore. Oh, so yeah. Welcome to old, Rodrigo.
Yeah.
Go for the bridge, brother. Go for the bridge.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do. It's a much cheaper option. To this day, very surprised that fixing a tooth is very expensive, but pulling a tooth is actually
$50
cheap. It's actually very cheap, and I'm just like, I can understand why in the old days people would just be like, pull them all. I'm going with dentures.
Yep. That's my son found that out last summer when he had 10 of his teeth pulled because they weren't growing in. His baby teeth. His baby teeth weren't coming out, and his big boy teeth were not pushing through. I mean, he's like 13 years old, and he still had a bunch of baby teeth. And so they're like, yeah, we're just going to go in all at once and yank them out. And I was like, okay, that seems rather traumatic. And it was. We had to eat a lot of soft food for about 3 months, and then he got used to that. So enjoy that empty space in your mouth, Rodrigo. At least it's not an empty space in your heart.
If you go and get boba tea, you can just stick a boba over there.
Stick it in there and chew on it all day.
Oh yeah. Everything that I've eaten since then is a new experience. Some are fine, eating cereal, again, weird. And some are dangerous, I had some corn chips.
And,
right into the gum.
Those
they just shatter. Yeah, they just shatter into
like a stabbing.
Yep. All right, so my number 3, kind of a cop out, but for some people, well, here's the thing. This starting last spring and then through the summer, if you visit the Major Spoilers YouTube channel, youtube.com/Major Spoilers video, you saw me complete 100% of the Lamplighters League, a game that I was super excited about when it came out last October. And I had a lot of fun playing that video game. Now, it's been a couple of weeks, and people have said, are you going to do anything else? I said, maybe I will. So the last couple of weeks, I've been working on secret projects. One of them you heard a couple of weeks ago on the Major Spoilers podcast with the Hays Code. But I'm working on secret projects. I wish I could tell you more, but it's fun and I'm enjoying it. So there you go. That is my number 3. I know. It's just like, hey,
people
on the one
always
hand,
ask me, they're like, "What is Steven's secret?" And I'm like, "Why do you think he tells us?"
Yeah. I know it seems like kind of cop out, but I was really surprised that I got 100% of the way through on Lamplighters League without destroying my entire
good
team.
Job.
And then,
and maybe that's what it takes, right? It's like it's so easy to leave a game, but when you are making content out of it,
100%
I've seen some of those Lamplighters. Yeah, that was good. I like that series.
Oh no, believe me, there are some people that were just like, "What in the F are you doing?" Like, and I told them at the very beginning, I'm like, I am the worst player at these kinds of things. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to mess up bad. Years ago when I used to do Twitch streaming, it was the joke, especially when we were playing what's Assassin's Creed, where I kept setting myself on fire all the time. That the joke was, how many times is Steven going to set himself on fire? And if you watch all 50 hours of the Lamplighters League, you'll find out how many times I actually set myself on fire unintentionally. But fire is a big component of the game. It was probably, I think, less than a dozen. But there was one commenter, and I love it. He was just like constantly critiquing. Like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? It's like, I don't know. I still won the game, right? Does it matter? Yeah, so I'm sure there'll be more of that in the future with my secret projects. But that's my number 3. Matthew, what do you have for your number 3?
My secret project is actually less of a secret and more of a project in that for the first time since the year 2012, I am going to find a new job in the summer of 2024. For a number of reasons. Most of the time, they say nobody ever leaves a job. They just leave a boss. And this is the thing, and I say this with love and affection. Steven and I have been friends since 1989, and we fight and we yell and we scream. And at no point have I ever said to myself, boy, do I need to leave major spoilers, because I love you guys.
So
I love the show.
Is that what you're telling us this summer? You're leaving major spoilers? What? Oh, no.
Nope. Staying with major spoilers. Wow. Getting a different day gig.
Oh, okay.
And, the thing that's really frustrating, I don't know if you guys know this, if you ever apply for jobs in the year 2020, there's a lot of stuff out there that just comes at you kind of the same way. You know how I watch cable, right? I'll be out a Friday night. I'll just be like, doop, doop, oh, Rick and Morty. Oh, that was terrible. Doop, doop, doop. Oh, what's this movie? And I watch the movie and I'm like, oh, this is my new obsession for the next, 17 to 18 days. That's how this process has felt to me. So far today, I have been offered a job in Kentucky that they're like, you could probably commute, and a job that claims to be data entry, but claims to pay $63,000 a year. And also it says I might be a good fit for this cardiothoracic surgeon job. And I feel like, if there's on-the-job training, I'm perfectly happy to bust out, some bone saws and maybe some number 40 silk. I don't know. I've seen Grey's Anatomy hundreds and hundreds of times. I'm pretty sure that I could get through cardiothoracic surgery and I would survive.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you would survive. It's the patient that I think is going to be more concerned.
There's no guarantees.
They have insurance for that.
That's true. That's exactly what it is. Also, I don't want to sell anything or buy anything or process anything.
That data entry position job sounds pretty good at 63,000.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a lie. I did apply for that, and I'm just waiting for them to come back and go, oh, yeah, that's with the commission for the sales part we didn't tell you about. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are a few things that I cannot in good conscience apply for. I cannot apply to be a salesperson. I cannot apply to be a teacher, and I cannot apply to be a cardiothoracic surgeon because I feel like brain surgery is really my calling. So neurology is where it's at. But in 2024, I'm going to get me a new job, and this one may have more helicopters than the last one. Fingers crossed.
There is a call for medical technicians, and a lot of places will like train you. So
EMS does that all the time. You don't even have to have a medical degree or anything.
But remember, I'm old and fat and 30% plastic.
Oh yeah.
Well,
the 30% plastic part will help.
That's true.
You're more sterile when you're handling the equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm microwave resistant.
So see,
yeah, you could just stay there for the X-ray. It's not going to do anything to you.
Yeah. And with all the health problems you've had over the years, you can roll up to a scene and instantly diagnose somebody. Oh yeah, I had that once. Get in the car. Let's go.
You see, I have never had any serious health problems. I've had a bunch of stupid health problems. So if somebody's like, oh man, this is terrible. I'm like, yeah, that's tennis elbow, brother. I can tell them that.
See?
But if they're like, it's a coronary thrombolytic hasofracinator, I'm going to be like, oh, well, yeah, nothing. Get an armband.
All right.
That's what I did.
I think we are done with our number 3s, and we're about to get to our number 2. Welcome back. We are ready for our number 2s. Rodrigo, what do you have for your number 2?
All right. So my number 2, like I said, it's going to improve from here on out. With like a little asterisk. So my number 2 is I ate an expensive lobster sandwich.
Ooh.
There is a restaurant here in the Seattle area that does these like huge overstuffed lobster sandwiches, and they are delicious. Like, I'm not overselling it. They're really good. It's like fresh lobster, butter, and just like this really fluffy bread, and that's it. And it was a fantastic experience. I've had the crab sandwich there, and I was like, this is very good. This is good. And then I have the lobster, and it really is just like completely different. It's a different eating experience. And I was like, this is amazing, but also very expensive. Let's not do this very often. But yeah, I just had a really good sandwich.
There was no mayonnaise on this one, right?
Nope. Just good. Lobster. You can squeeze some lemon over it if you want, but just lobster, butter, and bread.
Nice.
Is it like buttery? Okay, butter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm in.
Very good. That sounds very exciting and delicious. I've just looked up a recipe, so kids may be eating lobster rolls later this week. So there you go.
Lobster rolls in Western Kansas don't sound safe.
Oh no, they ship everything fresh. Technology and refrigeration has really come a long way since the 70s.
If you're in Edmonds, Washington, it's called The Market.
The Market.
Yep.
I'm going to write that down. Is that anywhere near Bremerton?
No.
Okay.
Why? Is that where one of your job applications is at?
No.
Oh.
It's just that Sir Mix-a-Lot used to rap about Bremerton in the 90s, and it's the only thing that I really know about Seattle.
Okay. All right, cool. Oh, they also have a big Space Needle and a Comic-Con there, so there's that as well.
Oh, they do have a Space Needle.
Yeah. All right, my number 2 kind of a little bit ties into my number 5, where I was being lazy. And if you are going to be lazy and maybe not even hit your stand goals in a single day, the best way to do that is in a hammock. And a few years ago, I can't remember if it was my birthday or Father's Day, one of those two, the family bought me a nice big hammock that we have on the back porch. And I enjoy on a nice day, and again, the early part of the summer, very nice, very pleasant. I was surprised our swimming pool was even open, because most of the highs in June and early July barely topped 80 degrees. But that's perfect time to lay in the hammock and read books and read comic books. And so I did quite a bit of that this summer. And it's nice. If you get a little cold, people look at you weird. It's the summertime, and I pull a little blanket out and I throw it over my legs, and I'm just kind of laying there. It's a great place to start to read a comic book and fall asleep, because you have noise canceling headphones on, and that cancels out all the noise. If you get a little table, you can set it up next to your hammock, and you can put a little lemonade on there, and you can just have an enjoyable day. So hanging out in the hammock and reading books and comics is one of the things that I did this summer. So there you go.
That's beautiful.
It is. It really is nice.
You have been running and running and running for like 12 years.
No, I don't run.
Hearing you, well, you know what I mean. You've been constantly, just like I'm Stephen. I say this is what I do, and I love hearing you say that you're relaxing. Because
I enjoy.
Honestly,
the hammock is really nice, because especially the only bad thing that I don't like about the hammock is that
you got to get out of the thing, and that usually that is well, and yes, and if you've ever see how a hammock is, and you realize this is a thing that happened. It's nothing serious, but it happens to people. When you stand up too fast and you get dizzy,
Well, part of when you're getting out of a hammock is your head starts to dip below your heart as you're bending over and standing up. And I did that once, and I passed right out and hit the concrete. That didn't happen this summer. That happened last summer.
You got to remember the Jonas Grumby technique. I don't know if you've ever watched the legendary.
I love the Jonas Grumby brothers.
Jonas Grumby technique. You just roll out onto the ground, and you get up, and you go, no!
You roll over,
and then you yell, kill again!
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that was my number 2, reading books and comics in the hammock. Matthew, what do you have for your number 2?
My number 2 is weird because all of my stuff sounds like your stuff, and all of your stuff sounds like my stuff because you're relaxing and reading comic books. This summer, I am going to open an IRA. I have a retirement account, but I've been doing the math on this and I've been looking at stuff, and I feel like the retirement account that I have has some limitations to it. And I've been comparing it to a traditional IRA account. And I'm seeing that it seems to have more flexibility, more versatility in what I can actually put my money into. But more importantly, once I get to be age 70, or I think it's 70 and a half, that it's actually going to pay out, first off, differently, but more regularly than what I had been seeing. Because what I have whatever. Currently, all of my retirement savings is in a 403b, and a 403b is basically a 401k with a funny hat. So I am planning to put an IRA into existence, and I'm going to IRA this thing, and I'm going to save money for when I'm old, so that when I'm old, if I ever get old, because again, the plan is to live to be 150.
Here's something that you need to take into consideration. Here's the thing you need to take into consideration. Number one, everyone in the sound of my voice needs to do this. You need to open a Roth IRA immediately. You can put up to $3,000 of your paycheck into that each year, and it is tax deductible. You don't have to pay anything on it until it comes out. So that is one thing that you can easily do. And you can pay a little bit into it, or if you get a big cash payout from, a lottery win or something, you can put $3,000 right into that Roth IRA, and the government can't talk to you about it. Second thing is, at your advanced age, Matthew.
Oh, shut up.
If you are thinking of retiring at 75 or whatever what'll ever happen after the election and they take away our Medicaid and our Social Security, you may be still working when you're 150. But here's the other thing that I would really, really advise people to do, and seriously think about it, is talk to a financial planner who specializes in long-term retirement stuff. And I know some of you are out there, they're saying, I'm 35. I'm going to live to be 300. I don't have to worry about this stuff. Believe me, the sooner you start taking care of this now, the better off you're going to be when you hit that retirement age. I wish I would have done more of this when I'm younger, because right now, I was almost a millionaire, but I'm not anymore. So you need to take care of those things. And certainly talking to a financial planner, there's many of them out there, some that specialize in elder care and retirement accounts. And then there are people that are just like, hey, young one, let us get you started now, and let's tell you about the magical thing called compound interest.
Compound interest.
I actually had a big conversation. I had a big conversation like that. Not this past Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving before, with one of my nephews, and he was so enthralled about me telling him about compound interest and putting things into an index fund and that kind of thing. He has actually decided, based on the conversation he's had with me, that he's going to get into finance as his major in college, which is still 3 years away.
That, my friend, is why you're a teacher and why I'm not.
There you go. All right, are we done with our number threes? I thought you were going to talk a little bit more.
Number twos.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You want me to talk more? I can definitely talk more.
That's fine. We are way long already on this show. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Patreon.com/major spoilers. That tip jar is always open.
Extra bonus content.
Now we have hit our number one, and I'm curious, Rodrigo, what's better than a lobster sandwich?
What's better than a lobster sandwich? Few things, but certainly a less expensive thing, which is that I've been writing.
Yay!
Cool.
I'm actually pretty much always writing, but I don't have a lot to show for it because I'm constantly starting new projects. And I'm excited to write for a while and then kind of run out of steam. But I've definitely been revisiting old projects a lot more, getting them a little bit more finished. I did uh, put out my novel back in like, I don't know, 2015 or something. I have a book coming out from Pirate Gonzalez Games for their Beacon setting. I don't know when that's coming out. I don't know if they know either because it's still being like edited and
yeah.
layouted or whatever. But I'm writing some stuff, and some of it I hope is going to be relevant to Critical Hit in the next few years. So,
Cool.
I think it'll be better to do something unlike what I did with the Void Saga, which was come up with a bunch of stuff anywhere from a month to 3 seconds before the show where it was supposed to appear. So hopefully this will feel a little bit more fleshed out, which I think the Void Saga felt fleshed out. But that's just like I put that more on the team, like basically like just ending everything than necessarily my amount of preparation.
Yes, no, and if
you gave us a lot to work with.
Yes, and you did say more on the team, so yes, more on teams. Yes, that is us.
We are the moron team.
Here's a promo for one of our Patreon things that you get, the GM Roundtable at whatever level that is, where you can listen to Brad and I discuss my plans for upcoming episodes of Critical Hit. And one of Brad's constant things is stop preparing, just go in and do it. And I'm like, I don't know about that, but yeah, you can check that out. And we look forward to see what Rodrigo has going on. Okay, my number one, we just did this last week. My niece of 20 some odd years, I think she's 22 now. Definitely she went to my wedding before she was even born. Her mom showed up very pregnant to my wife and I's wedding. So, and then she was born just a couple of months later. So I can always tell how old or how long I've been married by how old she is. But she and her college sweetheart have just tied the knot this weekend. And we went up to Wisconsin, beautiful Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin. And I say that to all the Wisconsinites who are out there. I love Wisconsin during the spring and the summer and maybe the fall, but I hate Wisconsin during the winter. So I would move to Wisconsin if it were not for the winters. Too often with my brother and sister-in-law, I have seen them trying to dig out from horrible blizzards, etc. I'm sorry, that's not for me. But we spent some time in Madison. Madison is so beautiful. We did a lot of things in addition to going to the wedding. We went to the Botanical Gardens, which we hadn't been to before, which I really, really liked a lot. And surprise, surprise, my boys also found out that they like Botanical Gardens. These guys constantly surprise me because it's like, hey, would you guys like to go to a art museum? And they're like, I guess. And then they find out that they totally love it. Hey, you guys want to go to Botanical Gardens? I guess. What is it? Plants? Yes. Okay, I guess we'll check it out. They love that. Where else did we go? Oh, we went to the farmer's market, obviously, because that's the thing that you do on Saturdays in Madison. Fun times there. Got plenty of cheese curds, don't worry. We even had some for lunch today. It was so great. And then, of course, my niece and her husband looked wonderful together in their wedding. Just imagine, if you will, a bunch of 20-somethings, 90% of the people in attendance at this wedding, maybe 95, but definitely 90+% of the people of the wedding were 25 and under, and probably 21 and under, 21 to 18, right? All of her college friends. Then there was like 6 to 10 people that were my age, the parents of the bride and the groom, aunts and uncles who are all in the same age. Yeah, we're all there too. And then you had like 4 to 6 people who were like 80 plus, all the grandparents that were there, a couple of sets of grandparents, and that was it. And there were like 300 people at this wedding, 250 to 300 people. And so even the wedding reception was fun because it was a bunch of 20-somethings dancing nonstop for 3 hours. to jump up and down, stompy music. So most of it from our childhood, but a lot of it more modern stuff. But if you think of a song that you like to jump and dance and shout to, it was played, and we did get my 86-year-old father and mother-in-law on the dance floor, and there's nothing more special than seeing an 86-year-old man jumping up and down with his hands in the air like he just don't care. It was great. And so,
nice.
Yeah, and it was great. It was a great trip. The weather was perfect. We got there and everyone was like, oh, we're so sorry, it's like 86 degrees. And I know that's hot. And I'm like, dude, it's like 107 degrees in Kansas. This is wonderful. So yeah, next time we go, which we are going to go again very soon, we are going to try and see if we can do the Frank Lloyd Wright Trail, which you go and see all of the buildings that Frank Lloyd Wright has designed that are still standing and open to the public in Wisconsin. So yeah, really a fun trip. So that was my number one thing that we've done this summer, is take a trip to see my niece get married in Wisconsin. So there you go.
Nice.
All right, Matthew, it's time for you to wrap this show up with your number one.
So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the internet, but
I've heard about it. Does it come in POG form?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you take your slammer and you go kapoink, and then you drink your juice. But more importantly, the internet has given us a lot of things that even 20, 30 years ago, when Stephen and I were in college, were absolutely unthinkable. So, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm an old guy. I'm a Generation X guy. So what we did in the 1990s was we watched Liquid Television and complained that people said we were slackers. So my child is just 20. And this summer, I have used the internet, specifically an app that we got for driving called Life 360, to watch in abject terror and awe as my child backpacks Mexico City on her summer trip.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was 20, never would have occurred to me. Never would have. Well, I wouldn't have had any money. But apparently this spring, Zabeth and her friend were like, hey, we could take this trip and it would be $400. And the child is like, hey, I could do this. I should do this. I want to do this. Man, if only, wait, I have money. I can do this. And so right now, Zabeth and Cece are on, they're at Fisher's Napoles. On Georgia Avenue, which is really weird. I had never looked at the architecture of Mexico City before.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard your stories about the architecture and the streets of Mexico City. You undersold it, my friend, because watching my child going around Ciudad de Mexico is like, oh my God, I have no idea. Oh, wait, what is that?
See, yeah, Mexico City is one of the greatest cities in the world. Like it really is, from like the excavation of like the ancient pyramid that used to be at the center of it, to like its subway system, which is great and also awful, to like everything that is a city is Mexico City, like to like people that live in like absolute opulence, to people that literally build shanty towns on the hills, and like at night you can see like their little lights all the way up there. Like Mexico City, it like the axolotl comes from the lake that Mexico City is built on top of. Also, it's a city that was built on top of a lake, not by a lake,
not near a
lake. Yeah,
in the lake. Yeah, and so, she's like, we went to Teotihuacan, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. But it's one of those things where they spent half their time in like a cool youth hostel and half their time in a highfalutin hotellery, and it's just fascinating to watch and talk with them about the stuff that's going on, and being like, I would never ever, when I was 20, have even considered that a possibility. Now, and it's not like it was that big a deal. I probably could have put together the money.
It would have been easier to do it when we were in college than it is.
See, and that's the thing. That's the thing that's most fascinating to me, but it never occurred to me, because Beavis and Butthead was on, and some of those episodes were new. But yeah, it's just absolutely awe-inspiring to see this kid doing stuff, and trying to the last 2 months, every time I call, we speak Spanish, and I speak 12th grade Spanish, or as I like to call it, bizarro Spanish. As long as you don't care that my conjugation is always going to be a little screwy, I can have a conversation with you. And the kid has gotten to the point where they're like actually correcting me because they wanted to learn Spanish enough to get by in Mexico City. And I'm just like, I cannot believe this child. They've been to Europe twice. They spent spring break in what's the place where they have all of the marijuana? Amsterdam.
Every state in the United States except Kansas, because we don't understand economic development.
In Amsterdam, and I'm looking at the itinerary and I'm seeing these things, and it's like tequila tasting on Avenue Hidalgo, and I'm like, oh right, drinking ages are probably different in other countries, but I'm just
18.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's amazing. That is just utterly amazing to me. So aside from that existential terror of this child, I talk about how I'm 30% plastic. This child, I've managed to get them almost to the age of 21 with only 3 major organs damaged, failed, or completely destroyed. So I feel like I've done well at this point. They've got no pancreas, and there's some questions about their thyroid, and the eyes are totally host. But otherwise, other than that, much like all the cars that I drove in the 90s, most of the stuff works pretty well. But it's just,
in fact, you paid more
crazy.
for your car in the 90s than she did on this trip in Mexico. So there you go.
That's not true at all. That car that you used to make fun of me
only cost $500.
$325. Thank you very much.
So check this out. There is a fantastic episode of 99% Invisible. It's called Mexico 68, where they go and talk about how they used design, which I believe is still in place from that Olympic Games, of how they were going to coordinate and get people to move around the city. It is a fascinating listen to go do it. I put a link there for you guys to go check it out. Go listen to that episode of 99% Invisible called Mexico 68.
Yeah, the graphic design from the 68 Olympics is also like really influential and has been sort of like duplicated in a lot of other Olympic Games, except for these latest Olympic Games where the French decided to go all like super Frenchy. Like definitely not like super filigree on it, and now nobody knows where like the like where to go to watch the bicycles, because like the bicycles are like broken into 3 like segmented concentric parts, and it's like you have to like look at it and artistically figure out that your soul wants to make it a bicycle.
Yeah, cool. All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Top 5 things we did this summer. What have you been doing this summer? Or what do you still plan to do? If it is still summer where you're living, you can let us know by heading over to the Major Spoilers Discord server. You can join the Discord server absolutely free. And in this day and age, when you have to pay $400 to go to Mexico, free sounds pretty good. So what are you waiting for? Join the Major Spoilers Discord, jump in the top 5 channel, and let us know what the top 5 things you did this summer. Everyone else will check out your list. They'll create their own lists. Why? Because everyone loves a list, and we will talk with you soon.
This podcast is copyright 2024 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.